We are joined today by Kendra Schmidt from Deaf Access Services, providing the American Sign Language interpretation. Kendra, thank you. It is such a privilege to stand out here on the deck outside of the Herb Jane Darling Environmental Education Center with Lake Kirsty behind us on a summer afternoon to recognize and remember how incredibly wonderful, peaceful, calming, healing, empowering it is to spend time in nature. Thanks to an upgrade soon to be underway here at Tift, more people are going to be able to experience all of the benefits of time in nature, all that Tifft Nature Preserve has to offer. We are thrilled today to be recognizing funding from Erie County for an accessible trail at Tifft Nature Preserve. This trail, about a half-mile long, will run from the Darling Education Center out through one of the jewels of the preserve, the Heritage Boardwalk. And it'll be designed so that anyone of any ability, if you use a wheelchair, if you push a stroller, you'll be comfortable coming out to access one of Erie County's gems. I'm so appreciative to Erie County Executive Pollingars, Erie County Legislator John Gilmore, and the other generous folks who are helping us push this together. Thank you all for being here today, and it is my pleasure to introduce Erie County Executive Mark Pollingars.
Thank you, Marisa.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, joining us here at one of our jewels in Erie County, the Tifft Nature Preserve, as we announce the $1.1 million gift that is coming from Erie County to assist to create this ADA compliant walkway so that individuals in wheelchairs or have other ambulatory issues will actually be able to get out into the portions of Tift that they never were able to. Because of course this is a nature preserve, and most of the walkways are in areas that are not going to be accessible to those who have significant ambulatory issues or are in a wheelchair. But through the $1.1 million gift from Erie County, as well as the significant support from other sponsors, starting next year will be a project in which various portions, as you see on the map, of the Tifft Nature Preserve will be made accessible to all of our residents. One of the keys that we've been working on in our park system lately is ensuring that our parks are accessible to all. And we know that's not always easy when we're talking about natural areas, because natural areas are not necessarily made for those who have ambulatory issues. So it is very important that we provide this assistance to ensure that this project can move forward, so that we have an ADA compliant walkway system as part of the Tifft Nature Preserve, and it gives all of our residents an opportunity to enjoy this gem along Lake Erie shoreline. I want to specifically thank Legislator John Gilmore, who could not be here today, but was a very strong advocate for this project. And when we were dealing with the closure of the 2021 budget, and we had a surplus, wanted to ensure that this project was included in the surplus. So I want to thank Legislator Gilmore and apologize that he unfortunately could not be here today. I also want to thank our partners in government who've been a strong supporter of this for quite some time, including Congressman Brian Higgins, State Senator Tim Kennedy, Assembly Member John Rivera, and City of Buffalo Council Member for the South District Chris Scanlon. They're big supporters of the Tifft Nature Preserve, and they've been very instrumental in ensuring that this project, through the funding that comes through various sources, including state and federal resources, goes to the Science Museum and to be used for the Tifft Nature Preserve. I also want to thank the other community partners, Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Legacy Foundation, the Buffalo and Erie County Greenway Fund, the New York Power Authority, and the Montgomery Family Foundation for their contributions to the work that's done here at Tifft Nature Preserve, including for this walkway. As I noted, the goal is to have the construction in place by 2023, so that the construction of the walkway is mostly completed by the end of 2023, and the actual signage is another part of this project, will be in place by 2024. This is all part of our efforts to create the best Erie County possible, using funds from county government as well as our partners to ensure that they go back into the community. And that's one of the things I want to highlight is the investment that Erie County is making is as a result of the 2021 surplus. And there's a lot of things that we could do, but we want to take that money and invest it into our cultural assets, other organizations in which the greater community benefits from it. So this $1.1 million, which came from our community in some ways, because we had really good sales tax numbers at the end of the year, will be going back into the community through this project. So to the people of Erie County, I want to thank you for your continued support of our greater community. We're working to create the best Erie County possible. We like to say we want everyone to live their best lives possible, live well Erie County. And we know for many residents, especially those that may be handicapped in a wheelchair, they don't get to enjoy beautiful things like this, and they will now. So thank you to the people of Erie County for your continued commitment. And I look forward to first off, the paths are opened next year, and then the official ribbon cutting, which will happen in 2024. And a final thank you to Marisa and her staff from the Science Museum and from the Tifft Nature Preserves for making this facility as wonderful as it is. I remember when it was as it is today. A lot of time, effort, and money that went in from various sources, and I want to thank Marisa and her team for the great work they've done to make this facility as good as it is. Thank you.
What would this walkway look like?
Do you want to answer, Dan? We can also have our Commissioner of Environment and Planning, Dan Castle, and talk a little bit about this project.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, County Executive. Well, it's great to be here today, and it's always nice to... I'm sorry, Dan Castle. I'm Commissioner of Erie County Department of Environment and Planning. With a lot of projects like this, when they start coming together and the funding comes together, it really takes the effort of a number of organizations, as the County Executive mentioned. I'm fortunate here to actually wear two hats here today. One is on behalf of the administration of Erie County and helping to administer the $1.1 million funds that came from the County Executive, Pollingars, with the help of the legislature and Legislator Gilmore. I'm also here as the chair of the Buffalo and Erie County Greenway Fund Standing Committee. And this is the committee also provided funding this year to the tune of about $400,000 to this project. And it speaks to the importance of projects like this on many levels. And just a note on behalf of the Greenway, this is, we're in the 15th year of the Greenway funding. Just to remind, it's a 50-year program that is paid for by proceeds from the relicensing program, so a thank you to the NIPA. But the funding from that program has been around 15 years. When you look at the nature and the landscape behind you, realize the cleanup here started 50 years ago, almost 50 years ago in the late 70s. And you see how resilient the environment can be with the help of organizations and willing government partners and nonprofits and support of the community. So it's always great to see all this come together and a really exciting project like this and increase the access and enjoyment for all. I think on behalf of the question, I think it will be a wood, primarily wood boardwalk.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
it's yep.
In front of the mic
Yep.
again.
And actually, to answer those questions, I'd love to introduce my colleague, who is our preserve steward and our ecologist here at Tiff, Zach Goodrich. So Zach can give you a little bit more about the details of the project.
Zach Goodrich, I'm the preserve steward here at Tifft Nature Preserve. So to answer your question, the majority of the trail will be a crushed stone dust trail. With adequate drainage and compacted, so it's a solid surface for wheelchairs or people with limited access to be able to traverse. The Heritage Boardwalk portion will be wood. So that's the majority of the trail. The beginning of the trail, starting at the visitor center here, is concrete up until you get to the bridge that enters the preserve. No, and in fact, one of the questions from a lot of people as we've been designing this has been, will crushed stone work? And we've been working with our partners who the design for this trail, Stantec, assured us that the engineering specs that go into the crushed stone, including level of compaction required, as well as, crowning of the trail, will be able to shed water and, keep that trail in good condition for a number of years with some very minor maintenance, which is quite different from other stone dust trails you might be familiar with in the area that often maybe don't meet those specs, and you often going to get rutting and channeling with water. So this will be a little bit different, raised up above the rest of the grade, crowned and compacted.
Are you saying stone dust?
Stone dust, correct. So it's just fine stone, compacted. If you're familiar with the kind of the Erie Canal Trail, points further east, when you get out of the city of Buffalo and the surrounding suburbs, that's all stone dust trail.
This is all about a quarter of a mile we're talking about?
It's about I don't know exactly how far the stone dust is, but the entire trail is about a half a mile.
About half a mile.
Yes.
Begins here, and then comes around. This is the boardwalk here, and then around the
So that's a pretty good chunk of the park.
It is. All in total across the preserve, we have 5 miles of trails, and that extends not only to the wooded side beyond the bridge, where this trail is, what's depicted on the map, it's also the trails on the other side on what we call the mounds. So when you think about the portion that is represented on this map, of 5 miles of trails, a half mile is a full 10%, and representing a more significant portion than that even of the wooded side.
If for those who've never been here, they may consider the Tifft Preserve just the mounded area over there, not knowing that everything that's back there, including the boardwalk and the little ponds, you can walk for a long time here before you come back into the visitor center. So this is going to give individuals who've never had an opportunity to go past this entrance here, and which is difficult on as its own, if you're in a wheelchair, to actually access the back portion of the park. They'll not be able to go through the whole portion of the preserve, but they will be able to see what is often considered one of the best sections of it. And as a result, we're opening up this preserve to many more residents, which is good.
And you won't be anywhere with the trails.
I think it'll be nice. At least during the day. They usually have during the day. Any other questions on top? I can take an off topic, yes. I'll note it's not the actual plans of the stadium, it's the site plan to show where the stadium will go in the parking lot design. It is exactly as I've said for quite some time, that the plans are such that there would not be a building at the college taken. A lot of people thought they'd have to demolish buildings at the college. We said, no, we know we don't have to do that. And the site plan, at least today, shows that the stadium and the parking lots that will be built as a result of the new construction do not need to take any building at that site. It is exactly like I said it would be. And I think it's important for the public to actually see that what we said was going to happen is going to happen. The actual plans for the stadium are still some time away. So what we have is basically an identification of the size of the stadium and where it would be, but not actually what it'll look like. So I don't want people to think that in the schematics that were released today, you see kind of a gray like object. That's not what the stadium will look like. It's just to give a representation of the size of the stadium as compared to the rest of the site. Okay, thanks everyone. Thanks, Kendra.